Hey, this is David with PrepperBookshelf.com, and today I'm going to go over FerFal, Fernando Aguirre's book, The Modern Survival Manual, Surviving the Economic Collapse. And this book is a really interesting book because it is based upon FerFal, his experience in the economic collapse of Argentina back in 2001. And it talks about how he survived, how he dealt with, feeding his family, those sorts of things, and what the government did, how they shut off the banks and how they only allowed you to get X amount of money a day, and if you had your bank account was denominated in American currency rather than Argentina currency, where they basically just shut you off. A lot of really good thinking points in here. This really isn't a how-to manual. It's more of his story. And he talks about, how he dealt with things and what jobs they were able to keep, right? What sort of tools that was useful to him. Now, this is his opinion, and there's some things in this book that I really don't necessarily agree with. However, he's lived through it, and I've just read about it, right? And so he does get a little bit of, credentials for that. Now, this guy is Argentinian. He's not a native English speaker, and there's a lot of errors and grammatical errors in this book. He self-published it, but hey, I had a publisher for my book, and they put me as being born in 1954, right? So I kind of forgive him for the grammatical errors, because if you've been to my website, I'm prone to those too. But this isn't as slick as a commercially published book, but it is very useful. I'll tell you one of the tips that he talked about in here that I've seen since then in other places that I really said, wow, that's some smart thinking. He said, gold is great, as an investment hedge, but if there's an economic collapse, how are you going to go buy food, with a gold eagle? You're not going to get change. Nobody's going to have change. Are people going to believe that it's real? And if everybody's broke and you show up with the only money that you have is $1,000 bills, right? And you go to the store to go buy, a dollar Snicker bar, that's going to raise some eyebrows, right? And if people are, desperate, they follow you home, they kill you, they steal your stuff, right? So what he did is he went down to pawn shops and lower end jewelry stores, Craigslist, not Craigslist because he didn't have, but those sorts of places, and got used jewelry, and especially like linked chains, right, or a bunch of wedding rings, and then he could go to the grocery store and be like, this ring is all that I have to feed my family, can I trade this for that, and then he'd just go home and put a new ring on, right? Or take his necklace off and say, this was passed down to my family, but I've got to eat. Can I give you 2 links for a gallon of gas, for a tank of gas? And then break the links of the chain, and so you've got barterable units of measure there, and it doesn't look like you're rich. It makes you look like you're desperate. Now you just go back to your safe and pull out another linked chain, and that's the kind of tips that's in this book, and that's why I really recommend it. Even though if you're an English teacher, this book's probably going to drive you nuts. So anyway, I really like this book because this guy actually has been through it. So anyway, worth getting. I appreciate you watching. Until next time, you can always catch us online at theprepperbookshelf.com. Thanks.